What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, just very quickly, before we go ahead and get into the commentary, I do want to mention that I do live stream every single day, besides Sundays, over on my Twitch channel. If you guys want to go ahead and check that out, we start a little bit later in the day, around 3:30 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and we go for about a couple to a few hours, playing all types of different games: Battlefield, Call of Duty. We've been branching out to single-player games as well. We play Dead Space, so it's a lot of variety over there. If you want to see a little bit more content besides just the YouTube channel, you can find the link to that channel down in the description of this video. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know when I go ahead and give you all this information, there's going to be mixed opinions. Some will think it's fantastic news, others will think it's horrible news. At the end of the day, we're just going to be all sharing our personal opinions. Keep in mind, it's your personal opinion. Now, in my opinion, I think that this will be for the better, but at the same time, I am a slight bit disappointed. As you can see right here, breaking. EA has announced they are canceling the Battlefield mobile game. Industrial Toys, the studio behind the Battlefield mobile game, is being shut down. Also, at the same time, Apex Mobile is also being canceled completely out as well. So, all across the board, EA is leaving the mobile scene. They want nothing to do with it at this point. I don't know if it's because they don't want to have any competition with Call of Duty, because Call of Duty already established themselves pretty strong with Call of Duty Mobile. But at the end of the day, they don't want to dabble with it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, I can completely see the negatives of this overall situation here. A lot of people were looking forward to going ahead and playing Battlefield Mobile. It actually looked like a pretty decent concept. And in other countries, mobile games are actually extremely popular. So for Battlefield to be able to tap into that marketplace and produce a pretty solid game would have probably not been that bad. And as we all know, when it comes to FPS games, for some strange reason, the publishers always prioritize the mobile game. Just look at Call of Duty Mobile, for example. Jesus Christ, a lot of people say they want a game like that on console or PC, just with the similarities, how it gives fan service to the OG players while still being able to innovate in different ways correctly. It seems like modern COD development teams can't do that anymore for their own games. So mobile might have not been that bad for Battlefield, and I understand why people are disappointed. And also at the same exact time, this is probably the biggest factor I got from this, with being negative, of course, is the fact that the development team, Industrial Toys, they're not still there anymore. Once Battlefield Mobile got cut, they got cut as well. They are completely out of work. Now, of course, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know if EA might have hooked them up with other job opportunities, sent them to a different development team, a different studio, a different title under their own name, maybe gave them, a good word to different teams out there, different publishers. Who knows what's going on behind the scenes. But when I personally read this information, the way I see it is that the individuals who are working at Industrial Toys got completely laid off. They're no longer working on any more games, and they're left to fend for their own, which absolutely sucks. That's horrible news, because these are real people with real lives, real families. They have to keep a roof over their heads, food on the table. This is huge, and especially in the game development scene. This isn't like, some job you can just pick up. It's a very competitive scene. So, when you get put into the situation, you are going to be stressed out of your mind. And it sucks because it seemed like the production of Battlefield Mobile wasn't that bad. But something behind the scenes had to crack. Something behind the scenes, maybe statistically or, I don't know, fundamentally, went wrong to the point where EA just completely cut it out of the picture. But like I said earlier, those are really the only negatives I can think about when it comes to the cancellation of Battlefield Mobile. Of course, I feel bad for all the individuals who lost their jobs, and I really do hope that they're able to find work extremely fast, so it seems like nothing, no time has passed by for them. I really hope that's the case. But coming from, a consumer's perspective, keeping all of if I never knew that the studio was shut down, if I never knew, any of that stuff, coming from a consumer's perspective, this just seems like it's only going to be better for the Battlefield that I know and love. You see, Battlefield Mobile is a cool concept, but when it comes down to it, what I play Battlefield the most is on my PC, or for anybody else out there on your console. It doesn't matter. Any mainstream Battlefield title. That's what I love Battlefield for. Even Call of Duty Mobile, I can accept that it's a very good game. It almost seems like it's better developed than the actual core Call of Duty experience. But do I play it very often? Not really. I always end up either playing what I have now in Call of Duty, or going back and playing previous games like World at War, Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, stuff like that. very rarely do I, mess with mobile stuff. I don't even like going on social media. I really do apologize if anybody has ever hit up my DMs, ever tried to, say, you could just go to my feed. I don't post anything. The only thing I use Twitter for is for my grinds. I love making content. I love playing games, and news articles, things that are coming out are on Twitter. That's why I look at it for. And, other work-related stuff is what I use my phone on. But I very rarely use apps, social media. I just don't care for it. So when I hear that this is being taken away, it just makes me think that EA's budget will go more towards their core Battlefield experience. Because clearly, the developer, it's not like the developers are going to be messed with. It doesn't affect them, but what I'm thinking of is the budget that they have right now. Instead of splitting up that budget to try to produce a mobile game, more of that budget will hopefully go back into the core Battlefield experience. As you can see from this post right here, this is a quote from EA. We remain highly committed to unlocking Battlefield's enormous potential. We are hard at work at evolving Battlefield 2042 and are in pre-production on our future Battlefield experiences at our studios across the globe. Now, of course, I've gotten to a point where I don't really believe too much of what I read until action is done, but they have been proving across the board, even with Battlefield 2042 with action, that slowly yet surely they are making improvements. So partially, I believe this statement, and I think that removing Battlefield Mobile from the picture will allow EA to put more focus onto the overall Battlefield experience, the main Battlefield experience, I should say. And I gotta say, it's been semi-enjoyable watching these new developers craft their way into the Battlefield franchise. Well, extremely irritating at first, especially if you're a hardcore fan. But if you let off the gas a little bit, and you're willing to accept the fact that there are tons, and when I mean tons of brand new people coming to work on Battlefield, and all of the OGs are leaving, even though EA is hiring back some OGs back on to the next project. But for Battlefield 2042 specifically, it was rough. I mean, consider it basically a test project. But watching it grow, watching it evolve, watching these developers, become, I don't want to say more competent, but, becoming more competent within the Battlefield realm has been honestly pretty enjoyable. And I do see the potential for the next Battlefield game as long as they keep going on the same road with 2042. The map designs, the atmosphere, the type of camos they add into the games, everything looks so solid. Everything feels so solid. They're slowly improving on the music selection, even though the base music selection for 2042 was really bad, but, they're improving. The class system was a great implementation into Battlefield 2042. It's not the classic class system that we all know and love, but at the end of the day, it's, a perfect middle ground for Battlefield 2042 until they can get another Battlefield game out and running. These changes have been extremely solid. As long as they can nail the next Battlefield experience and prove to us that they know the mistakes they made with 2042 and they are willing to change them and improve upon them for the next overall game, then I think that, we are all good here. With the cancellation of Battlefield Mobile, it means that the majority of their money for the Battlefield franchise will only be going over to the main Battlefield games, which is fantastic for us hardcore fans because a lot of us, let's be real, play these games on console and on PC. Although I wouldn't be angry at all if they did decide to go ahead and make a mobile game for Battlefield sometime down the road, but let's be realistic here, especially if you're a hardcore Battlefield fan, is now the time for them to branch out? Not really. They've struggled horribly for a year plus when it comes to Battlefield 2042. And, it's still struggling, even though it's gotten better. But Battlefield's in a very rough spot. And before that, we had Battlefield 5, which once again was probably known as one of the worst Battlefield games known to mankind at that current moment. Again, it's gotten better. And, it wasn't that bad of an experience. But compared to other games like Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1, Battlefield 3, the bad companies, it was a pretty rough game to go ahead and enjoy. So the community has had a really hard time. So I think the best idea from EA is to make sure every last bit of their budget, at least for Battlefield in general, goes towards Battlefield. Don't split it up. Don't try to be extra. You're not Call of Duty where you can put out absolute garbage and the community will still buy it every single year. For example, Battlefield 2042 launched. It was successful. And then the player count dropped to all-time lows. Just absolutely devastated. The community doesn't play around in that way, shape, or form. So I really do believe that EA has to focus, put all their money on Battlefield, and make sure it turns out good. Or else, you guys already know what's going to happen. The franchise will probably go down the tubes. But, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for checking out this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like. Bumps, I hate it, leave a dislike. Also, if you're brand new and enjoy the content, don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification button. Also, want to chat me, this is do we do so. I have Twitter and Discord, both linked down in the description. And also want to catch me live streams of video games over on Twitch. Link that's in the description as well. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. See you on the next one. Peace out.